So in today's video, I'll be talking about antiquated GUI or graphics user interface operating system, and this is a Workbench OS for the Amiga 1200. So basically, what's unique about Amiga's Workbench GUI operating system is that it used preemptive multitasking, and most operating systems at that time used cooperative multitasking. And what preemptive multitasking does is it uses a CPU to do multiple tasks. So it allows the CPU to switch between different tasks very quickly. So let's say task A, task B, and task C. Let's say these are the task CPUs here. It could switch between the three, right? Or if you have four, then it could switch between 4 or 5. And so it's just switching to each one very quickly, like A, B, C, 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 very fast. So you can't really see it because it's doing it so quickly within like nanoseconds or something, billions of a second. So that's how this type of operating system works. And most modern operating systems like Apple OS, Microsoft Windows, various distros of Linux work in that way. And the benefits of this is you could just terminate a task anytime you want. With cooperative multitasking, if one program doesn't give up power, or if one of the programs crash or something, then the whole system crashes and you have to restart the operating system. And with this, you could just run multiple things all at one time. I'm going to run several things at one time. Whatever I can run, basically. On edit. So what it's doing right now, switching between this calculator and this program called Icon Edit, which is some kind of a program to edit photos and stuff. Camera, a clock. Open up multi-view. Key show. And you have to remember that this operating system, we're probably using maybe 8 megabytes of RAM. That's not a lot of RAM, by the way. Okay, so I'm running this too. So I'm running all these things at one time. See what this is. Well, pretty reliable. It doesn't crash. I was running everything simultaneously as well, which is pretty good. No, I don't want to. Yes, I want to quit that. Quit everything. I was able to run all that at one time. Uh, an operating system like Microsoft Windows 3.1, which I will show you next, used cooperative multitasking. And it wasn't a very reliable operating system, not like the Amiga Workbench. It shows you how much memory there is right now. So every time I use something, it uses up memory. As you can see, the memory goes down for it as I use different programs. That's how it works. So this is an example of a very early example of preemptive multitasking. And the Amiga didn't have like multiprocessors like the computers that we have now. Computers we have now have, I don't know, anywhere from 4 to maybe 16 cores or even more than that, some of the processors. But that's pretty much it for this one. Okay, so now I'm going to go into Windows. Windows version 3.1. And this is Windows 3.1. This is the operating system I used back in 1994 on I think it was a Pentium 100 megahertz computer. You can minimize that so everything is running at one time. This machine has a lot of memory, so you can do that. The problem with this type of cooperative multitasking is if you run out of like if one program is using too much of the CPU power, then like I said, it's going to cause the whole thing to crash. And that's why a lot of operating systems don't use cooperative multitasking these days. Okay. No, I don't want to save it. So in cooperative multitasking, program has to voluntarily give up its rights to the CPU, and sometimes this is not good. So if you have a virus or something that's like looping to infinity or something, then this could pose a problem in an operating system that uses cooperative multitasking, because that task isn't going to stop, right? While in preemptive multitasking, um, the CPU is only going to allow it to use a certain amount of its processing power. It's going to be switching between different programs, right? So which is better? So it's going to be more reliable, in other words. Except to get back. And the difference between DOS and a GUI operating system like this is that for MS-DOS, you could literally just run one task at a time. You could run one task, and after it finishes, you could start another program. But in Windows, even in Windows 3.1, you could do multiple tasks at one time, just like how running multiple games. Okay, that's pretty much it. Let me get out of here. Okay, so now I'm using a Windows 95 operating system. And for this type of operating system, it uses preemptive multitasking. So we could run a large number of different types of applications here. Like I did on the Amiga Workbench operating system. And when I press alternate control delete, I can go to this task manager and I could close whatever task I want. I could end this task. And you're able to do this because we're using preemptive multitasking, and you could do this in a modern computer as well. You could simply close whatever you, if a program crashed, right, you could press alternate control delete, go into task manager and shut down whatever you want. So you could do that with a preemptive multitasking operating system. So that's the beauty of it, and that's what we use today basically. And you could use even more intensive types of apps like games, and you can shut them down with task manager, and you could do that with modern operating systems too, like Windows. So those are the differences between different operating systems at the time, back in the, I guess, the 1990s. You had operating systems like Amiga Workbench, like you saw for the Amiga 1200. You saw Windows 3.1. I think it was released around 1991 or 1992. I know 3.1 or Microsoft Windows 3.1 was released around 1990. Windows 95 was released in 1995. And Windows 95 was kind of like the game changer in operating systems. It allowed people to, it gave people a modern operating system in 1995. And I think it was a 32-bit operating system. We had 32 operating, but it also had 16-bit kernels as well, so that you could use DOS applications. You can go to MS-DOS here. And this is actually DOS 6.2. I think this is the actual DOS kernel. So if you want to go back, press exit to get back to Windows. So it did have 16-bit elements from DOS in Windows 95 and 98. But it was a 32-bit operating system for the most part. That's what I want to share with you today. If you have any questions, you can leave it in the comment section below, and thanks for watching.